First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem Rukakodash. Yahweh is to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahushua is to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'Shem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. In today's video, I wanted to go into how we are going to eat our bread poisoned amongst the nations we were scattered. And if you don't know the scripture I'm talking about, or the prophecy, it is Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 13. It says, and Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. Right, and that goes into how part of the curses is that the food that we were going to eat in all the places where we were scattered was going to be poisoned. Okay, it was going to be terrible. And when you go into this scripture in the New Living Testament, it says, then the Lord said, this is how Israel will eat defiled bread in the Gentile lands to which I will banish them. Now let's go to that word defiled and see what it means. Unclean, impure, ethically and religiously, ritually, right? Infamous, polluted. And that's exactly what the food of America is. And essentially the whole world is getting to that point now where all of it is polluted, and it comes from America. Okay, America is the one that is really pushing this whole, Western diet and fast food. All that comes from the West. And that is that pollution, that the nations are drinking of, the wine. Right? When we go into Jeremiah chapter 50 or Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 7, it says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Right? And the wine is symbolic for philosophy, right? Way of living. Okay, America is pushing its way of living onto the other nations. And the nations have participated in this way of living. They have drunk of that wine, as it says. That's why you see in China, you got McDonald's on near damn every corner. Right? You go to third world countries, but you got KFCs, Popeyes, McDonald's. Right? That's that wine that they're drinking. And it says, therefore the nations are mad. Right? The nations are mad because they're realizing that everything America is pushing down their throats is actually killing them instead of healing them. Right? They're realizing, hold up, they're telling, my sons and my daughters to be homosexuals and whores. That's not beneficial to my society, to my kingdom, to my country. That's poisonous. Right? So, in a nutshell, they're realizing that that wine, it got them drunk, and that Salaki, give me a second. They're realizing that that wine has got them drunk, and it's actually intoxicating them. It's killing them. So, one of the biggest culprits is McDonald's. That's one of the famous companies, most famous companies here in America, is McDonald's. And I was watching this video the other day by Brian Johnson, which this guy is a Edomite who is essentially trying to be immortal. Right? I'm pretty sure he was co-founder of Venmo, and sold Venmo, became a millionaire, billionaire, whatever it is. And his whole thing is live longer, right? Don't die, as it says. And he takes like 50 pills a day, does all types of interventions, like his son, using his son and dad's plasma to put in his own body, just to live longer. So, this guy is, top level Edomite. But he himself,
If you lived in
the reason I bring this out is because he shows how, in this video, how bad McDonald's really is. Right? Some cells died or stopped working. DNA showed damage, helped tumors grow more easily. So he goes into it and he brings out all the scientific articles and reviews, experiments, and showing you, hey, if you just look deep enough, here's the proof that everything they use is literally poison. Okay, it's documented to be poisonous. And people eat it on a every single day basis. So that's that scripture. Your food being polluted. And one thing that came to mind when I was looking at this is how what we're seeing is ultimately the full culture of these Edomites, right? And how the scriptures say that if wickedness goes on, essentially it corrupts everybody. But or the better scripture is when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn, right? So the wicked are in authority, these Edomites, and you can see the way they operate. The people up top giving their own people bullshit. So that's why you see the people mourning, because they are not being taken care of. But what I wanted to go into was in Maccabees, right, during the Greco-Roman times. When you go into what was being pushed on the Israelites, let's go ahead and read that in verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law, and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. And this is showing you how those Edomites pushed their ways unto us, okay, the Israelites. And many of our people being wicked, they went, with that Edomite culture. Now, why do I bring this up? The reason I bring this up is there's a reason why Yahweh Bashem Yahushai gave us the law, statutes, and commandments. And the reason is because the laws are beneficial. Okay, the laws make our lives better, make our bodies better. Okay, but when you deviate from that, what happens is you corrupt your body and your soul. And that's exactly what these other nations do. That's why Yahweh Bashem Yahushai said, don't follow the ways of the other nations, because their lifestyle of living is destructive. And you can see that right here, how this is the lifestyle of these Edomites. Okay, this doesn't come from the Israelites. This comes from those in power, these Edomites. And you can see how destructive it is. So, I'll leave it there. Let's see what the comments say here. 64-year-old here. I started eating healthy 2 months ago. Lots of berries in the morning. Inflammation went away. Thought I was heading towards a hip replacement. Cut out processed junk, sugar, super fat foods. Ate gut healthy foods. Stomach problems went away. Feeling amazing just eating healthy. Then a couple of days I was too busy to do my normal lunch dieting and have McDonald's. Just eating that lunch, my inflammation came back and I felt like shit for a couple of days. Proof enough for me. And that's exactly what it is. Once you go back to the natural, the way the Lord made it, the natural foods, meats, fruits, some vegetables, the ones that are not, that you don't have bad reactions to. Once you do that, your body goes back to equilibrium. Okay, it goes back to being normal. Because when you add, the reason inflammation is a thing, all diseases come from inflammation, by the way. Right? Inflammation goes into, the body being inflamed. And that's why there's a specific word that people say, disease, right? Goes into the body being not at ease, right? Diseased. So that all goes back to inflammation. And inflammation, when you go into the definition, is a complex biological response of the body to harmful stimuli such as infection, injury, or toxins. Right? So it's your body pretty much a short-term response that lasts for days to weeks, redness, but it's a response to harmful stimuli. So here you got an anecdotal, you got an anecdote which tells you, this guy literally telling you, yep, I cut it out, and as soon as I got it back in, inflammation. showing you that that food is harmful. And you could keep going down, all the comments here, and they'd all agree. That's why I was looking for these videos, and there's a video that popped up. Let me see if it's still here. Right, McDonald's is screwed. The real reason McDonald's is failing. And I was literally thinking that before I saw this, how more and more people are gonna stop eating at these places because they're realizing that it's actually poisonous. And I wouldn't be surprised to what these companies do in order to get back, that clientele, is that they start actually fixing the all the poisonous shit they have. They're not gonna fix it all because that's Esau, but they'll go into how, oh, look, we have this healthy part of our menu, with no vegetable or oil or whatever. They're gonna try to market towards the healthy demographic to get more sales, and ultimately it's still gonna be poison. So I just wanted to go into that and just come at it from the scripture side because that's what really it's all about. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahushua Ba'Shem, Rokah Kodash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.